Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. I'd like to start by asking you all to please rise and join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next item, Kim, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Troutner. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. The next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
No changes, Madam Mayor.
All right. Seeing none, a motion would be in order to approve the agenda as published.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. That moves us into public communications. We have several proclamations this evening and some guests joining us. The first proclamation we have is for Diaper Need Awareness Week, and looks like we've got Jack Edgerton, the Executive Director of KidVantage, joining us. Nice to see you. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, then I'll ask you to join us up here and say a few words. All right. So the proclamation reads, whereas diaper need, the condition of not being able to afford a sufficient supply of clean diapers to keep babies and toddlers clean, dry, and healthy, can adversely affect the health and well-being of children and their families. And whereas national surveys and research studies report that nearly 1 in 2 families struggles with diaper need, and 48% of families delay changing a diaper to extend available supply. And whereas without enough diapers, babies and toddlers risk infection and health problems that may require medical attention, resulting in medical costs, and parents may be prevented from accessing child care, needed to go to work and school, thereby destabilizing the family's economic prospects and well-being. And whereas the people of Kent recognize that diaper need is a public health issue and addressing diaper need can lead to economic opportunity for the state's families and communities, and families have access, and thus ensuring all children and families have access to basic necessities required to thrive and reach their full potential. And whereas Kent is proud to be home to trusted community-based organizations, including KidVantage and Westside Baby, that recognize the importance of diapers and ensuring health and providing economic stability for families, and thus distribute diapers to families throughout various channels. And whereas through their important work of addressing diaper need, diaper banks play a critical role in supporting families, improving infant health and well-being, and advancing our local and state economic growth. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim the week of September 18th through the week of September 18th, 2023 to be Diaper Need Awareness Week in Kent, Washington, and thank the aforementioned diaper banks, their staff, volunteers, and donors for their courageous service during the crisis, and encourage the citizens of Kent to donate generously to diaper banks, diaper drives, and support those organizations that collect and distribute diapers to families struggling with diaper need. Since you with the proclamation, you want to do a real quick picture? You good with that?
Get you in the light, please.
In the
Right up to the middle.
Front and center.
Fantastic. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ralph, members of the City Council, and citizens of Kent. My name is Becky Schroeder, and I am Deputy Director at Westside Baby. Thank you for bringing attention to diaper need and proclaiming the week of September 18th as Diaper Need Awareness Week. As you know, diapers are very expensive and prices have risen at alarming rates since the beginning of the pandemic, making basic needs items like diapers more expensive and inaccessible to working families, with low-income families spending nearly 14% of their monthly income on diapers. Westside Baby and KidVantage have been committed to providing a safety net for local families through the distribution of diapers and other basic essentials to children. We work directly with social service programs across the county, including numerous Kent-based partners such as Kent Public Health, Children's Therapy Center, and neighborhood food banks to connect resource to need. We recently heard from a public health nurse reflect on how diapers can be a bridge to other forms of support. She said that often diapers and wipes get me in the door and allow me to allow the deep and meaningful connections to be built and my clients to thrive. This year, Westside Baby is on track to supply over 2.6 million diapers to families throughout the county. We can only do this thanks to the support of our community. So thank you again for recognizing National Diaper Need Awareness Week.
Good evening, Mayor Ralph and council members. My name is Jack Edgerton. I'm Executive Director of KidVantage. Thank you so much for having us here today and declaring this week Diaper Need Awareness Week. When KidVantage was founded 33 years ago, it was on a very simple proposition that every child deserved to have their basic needs met, whether it was diapers and wipes, clothing, school supplies, or other items. It was important that we as a community came together and made sure that every child had what they need to create their own future. KidVantage is a member of the Kent community. Our hub is right over on West Harrison Street in the Alliance Center, and we're proud to have served the community of Kent for many years. In the last 5 years, we've provided over 750,000 diapers to families in Kent. And this year, we're on track to serve over 20% more than we served last year. Part of the reason for this is families are falling behind, and we see just in 2021, the recent census that came out, that children living in poverty rose from 2021 at 5.2% to 12.4% in 2023. That's according to new census data, and that's shocking. But the good news is that the leaders in this room and your community are coming together to make sure that families are supported and families have what they need to thrive. So thank you for declaring Diaper Need Awareness Week, and thank you for supporting KidVantage, Westside Baby, and all the other providers who are making sure kids have what they need.
Thank you so much. I can tell you this is a cause that our community believes in deeply. We have several organizations and service clubs that do an annual diaper drive. The city is a drop-off location, and there is nothing more amazing than to walk into City Hall and see those boxes of diapers stacked up to the ceiling. I believe in 2022 we may have beat our neighbors to the south in the diaper drive for number of diapers collected here in Kent. So just going to throw that out there. But thank you very much for the work that you do. We know that diapers are extremely expensive, and the fact that families are making decisions to not change their child's diapers so that they can have other things is just not an acceptable thing in our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we have another proclamation this evening, and joining us tonight is Anita Spear from the Lakota chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. So this proclamation is for Constitution Week. It says, whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the adoption of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America. And whereas the United States Constitution, America's most important document, stands as a testament of the tenacity of Americans throughout history to maintain their liberties, freedoms, and inalienable rights. And whereas in 1955, Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress to set aside September 17th through the 23rd annually to be dedicated to the observance of Constitution Week. The resolution was later adopted by U.S. Congress and signed into public law on August 2nd, 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now therefore I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd to be Constitution Week in the City of Kent, and I encourage Kent residents to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution and celebrate the rights and freedoms we enjoy as a people of this very proud nation. do a photo and say a few words?
Okay, wonderful. Please, right here. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, council members and Mayor Ralph. On behalf of the Lakota chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, we thank you for this proclamation recognizing and honoring our Constitution. The Constitution protects the individual liberties of all citizens through the written law. Daniel Webster said it is the people's government, made for the people and answerable to the people. The fathers of the Constitution studied ancient civilizations and current methods of government of their day. They were well acquainted with great classical writing on the subject and therefore came to their tasks well informed on what works and what doesn't. Above all, they knew that man is here on earth to become self-reliant, self-expressive, and self-determined. Our fathers knew better than we that specific temptation of government, any government, is to seize more power than is allotted or misuse the power they had. 3 powers of the government were established in complete independence of each other to combat the always possible use of dazzling personal leadership, the misuse of law by temporary emotion, and the tendency to unwise action under stress. The presidency and the Congress and the courts were all made subordinate to the Constitution. It is fitting that we take this anniversary to reflect and honor this document and to those who wrote it. You might have heard the phrase, "That's unconstitutional," or "That's my constitutional right." Many times Americans believe that sayings and phrases are in our Constitution, but they really aren't. Let us celebrate Constitution Week by resolving to be better informed and responsible citizens. Read the Constitution. Thank you for this proclamation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Definitely would encourage everyone to take time out of your day to read our Constitution and understand the rights that it affords us. I think it's something that gets missed often. Wish we had more students doing it. I actually have a good friend of mine that is immigrated to this country a long time ago, and he keeps copies of the Constitution on his desk and passes them out. And I think that that is a really wonderful thing. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. All right, we are going to move on. The next 2 items on our agenda are appointments to boards and commissions. So the City of Kent has multiple boards and commissions that our residents can apply to and serve on, that serve as bodies that make recommendations, hold public hearings, promote events and those kind of things around the City of Kent. The first appointment we have that's on council on your consent calendar this evening is Zenobia Harris. She is the Executive Director of the Kent Chamber and is going to be, should you approve the consent calendar, reappointed to the Public Facilities District Board over at Showware Center. And she was appointed to fill out a term of someone that stepped down, and so this will be her appointment to her first full term on the Public Facilities Board. We also have 4 appointments or reappointments to the Kent Arts Commission. So you often hear Councilmember Fincher providing updates about things going on at the Arts Commission, something that's very near and dear to my heart as I served on the Arts Commission before I became a council member. Grateful for the work that they do both in the performing arts realm and bringing those kind of performances to the City of Kent as well as public art. So we've got 2 reappointments this evening. Gerald Phil Potts will be reappointed for a 2nd term, and Renee Hazen for a 1st term, starting that first full term. And then we have 2 new members, and I believe they're in the audience this evening. Julianne, is it Hind or Hind? Hind. Julianne Hind will be starting 1st term on November 16th, and Richard Niederland? All right. Also, starting first term, we are grateful to both of you for taking the time to apply and serving your community in this way. Never want to put anybody on the spot. I always want to extend the offer if either one of you would like to come up and say a few words about why you want to serve, but you absolutely do not have to. So you can either give me a thumbs up or just stay in your spot. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
I just got word about this about 3 o'clock today.
Oh, and I was just, thank you both for coming on such short notice. We had some calendaring things that happened, and really, really grateful that you could both make it this evening.
That said, I've wanted to be on the Arts Commission for a number of years. So I'm very happy to be here. And when I got the email, I said, yes, I will be there. So I obviously have a very strong passion for the arts. I've been involved with arts, from a young age. I've done all kinds of things myself. But what I really love is just everything coming together as far as like the tapestry of culture and music and mixed media, everything that comes together for art. And I am just so thrilled to be a part of Kent's Art Commission. I think that this community has just been blossoming and has just a vision that I think is going to explode in the next few years, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good? Okay. So again, thank you both for applying and being willing to serve your community. I might have a little bias, but I kind of think that the Arts Commission is the most fun citizens board that we have. Opportunity to meet artists, see great performances, and as you go around the city, getting to see sort of the fruits of your labor, looking at our sculpture, our gallery, and again, those performances. So thank you both very, very much. And council, those nominations are on your consent calendar this evening. All right, that brings us down to our next item, which is community events. Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a couple of things going on at the Accesso Showwear Center. So September 29th, we have Junior H. On September 30th, we have the Thunderbird, our champion Thunderbirds, have their home open against the Portland Winterfest. On October 8th, we have Godsmack. October 14th, we have Furzer Regatta Pedal Tour. And then October 25th to the 29th, all kids, we have Disney on Ice, Frozen. Brenda, just for you.
Oh, thanks.
November 4th, we got Skillet and the Theory of a Dead Man. And November 25th, we got Pepe Aguilar. December 8th, Tacoma Stars will have their home opener. And then January 26th, we have the Harlem Globetrotter, which is lots of fun. And last but not least, February 17th, we have Toby Mac Hits Deep Tour 2024. So that's going on at the Accesso Showwear Center right here in Kent. So get a chance, please attend. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you. We have on the 30th of September, Team Up to Clean Up. And that's when you go out in your neighborhood, go out in one of the communities of Kent. And this year you have your choice of painting out graffiti, or you can pick up trash. So go to our website or kentwa.gov/talkingtrash and give us some time in the morning. It's only a few hours of your morning, and many hands make light work, so help beautify your community, and it's good for all of us. That's on the 30th. And then our Arts Commission, I was so excited listening to you talk. We have some new art coming, so be sure to look on some of the, I will just give you clues, walls, large walls outside in Kent. So there's some new things coming there. And I believe that is the last thing that, the big one is the Vienna Boys Choir is going to be starting off our concert series. So the Spotlight series for the city of Kent starts October 17th. Go to the website, get your tickets there, and there's lots of great acts, all different genres of art, so check it out. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Fincher, I don't know if you were referring to the downtown murals, but they are installed.
Oh,
So
They're already
they're
there, so
up
check
and
'em out.
walk around downtown, and there's 2 new great pieces of art. So, Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of parks conservation volunteer events. The first is on October 7th at Van Doren's, and then there's another one on October 14th at Riverview Park, and you can sign up for those online.
All right, thank you. And then follow up to Council President's announcement about the Thunderbirds opening night on September 29th, which is next Friday, a week from Friday. Right out here in the courtyard at 2 p.m. we will be doing the Thunderbirds flag raising. Team will be here, maybe Coolbird, seeing a heads up. So come out, meet Coolbird, the team, and then at that opening night, we will be raising that banner up above the ice in celebration of their amazing season last year. So love to see all of our T-Birds fans here on the 29th out in the courtyard for that flag raising. All right, next item under public communications, we have our public safety report, and joining us tonight is our Deputy Chief Matt Stansfield. Good evening, Deputy Chief.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good to see everybody again. So we got, we're not going to quite break the record that we did last council meeting with 8 swearing-ins, but we do have some more good news with 3 swearing-ins tonight and then some other announcements to make. So I'm going to go ahead and call up our new officers. So when I call you up, we'll start off with Officer Oscar Toledo Blanco. He comes to us growing up most of his life in Wenatchee. He attended Central Washington University, where he received a bachelor's degree in law and justice. Before he was an officer at the Kent Police Department, he worked as a juvenile corrections officer in Chelan County, where he worked closely with juveniles that assisted them in making better life choices. Oscar feels very fortunate for having that exposure and gaining perspective on the juvenile justice system. Should serve him well here. He thinks that will make him a more well-rounded officer. The reason that Oscar chose Kent was due to the opportunity to interact with such a diverse community and work with people from various walks of life. Oscar says he is very excited to be part of an extremely professional, knowledgeable, and extraordinary department. Something interesting about Oscar is he knows how to play several instruments, which include the drums, guitar, piano, and bass. So we're super excited to have him. Oscar, who's here with you tonight?
My girlfriend, Angela, and my sister, Nancy.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Next officer we want to introduce tonight is Officer Dylan Zuck. Dylan is from and currently resides in Lewis County, Washington with his wife and 2 children. He has an associate's degree in criminal justice. Before coming to Kent PD, Dylan was a commercial service manager for GCR Tires, which is the commercial division of Bridgestone Tires. He's worked on several different types of vehicles and says if it has wheels on it, he's probably worked on it, to include big mining equipment and airplanes, and also worked in the car business for a while before becoming an officer. Dylan chose Kent because the more he learned about KPD through the hiring process, especially during his ride-along, the more he felt like this was the place he wanted to start a career. Everything from the people in the community, the people here, and all the training that he saw that was communicated to him from our training team, that was something that he said he wanted to be a part of. Something interesting about Dylan is he was a 3-sport athlete growing up and excelled particularly as a baseball pitcher. In fact, he headlined the front page of his local newspaper where he's from and was pictured with a former professional baseball player, Lyle Overbay. And the last officer we want to introduce you tonight is Isher Singh Hong.
Well, you got his family here?
Oh, sorry, yeah, Dylan, who's here with you tonight?
My wife Stephanie, our 2 kids, Dana and Dominic, and then my sister-in-law, Monica.
All right.
Thank you. Isher, if you want to come on up. So Isher comes to us from Kent. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology. Before coming to Kent PD, Isher was a hospital security officer. He said he chose Kent because he values serving in a diverse community and additionally wanted to give back to the city he was raised in. Something interesting about Isher, he's a professional Bhangra dancer. Bhangra is a traditional folk Indian dance that originates out of Punjab. As a professional dancer, he has competed in various competitions all over North America. So, Isher, who came with you tonight? Good to see you again. So, thank you very much.
What Kent school do you go to? Or to say Kentwood.
Chargers.
All right. Thank you.
So exciting. Tony's already had one for many years, so there's 5. Only took 6 years in the making.
Congratulations, man. Yeah, bye. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, man.
Welcome to Kent. Congratulations.
I was just going to make an announcement. You want to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can go ahead. What's your name?
Yeah, really,
Do-
really excited. Oh, you have-
Real quick before we move on, do want to recognize Sergeant Eric Tung here this evening. He's not going to put you on the spot. I just want to say thank you. You and your team have done an absolutely tremendous job in recruitment over the last year plus, and we are seeing some amazing recruits come out of the academy and out to serve the community, and that could not have been possible without you and your team. So thank you.
How about give them that so they have that? Good job.
Absolutely, Mayor. Eric's team has done some things that now we get to see him all over really national media. He's a story that has had nationwide impact, what he's done here, so it's really, really cool to just kind of see somebody watch them take something and really make it their own. So thanks, Eric. So the next thing we want to announce this month's public safety report is we did do a promotion of Sergeant Amber Haracy down at the Kent Correctional Facility. Amber's been with us for about 10 years. Before that, she spent time down at Cowlitz County. Interestingly, I coached her daughter, and my daughter played soccer together when they were about 6 years old, and I hadn't seen her daughter in about 14 years, but when she came to the promotion for Amber, I got to see her again, so it was pretty cool. But Amber's a really good, great person, brings some really unique perspectives to the jail, and is a true professional down there. So we're really happy to give her some increased responsibility. So, and then if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to entertain them.
All right.
See what I
Any
can
questions, Council?
Nope.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
All right, we are going to move on in the agenda to reports. Very proud of this council. Each and every one of them serves on a committee or board outside of the regular council meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of the month. The thing that is really unique or special about that is that makes sure that Kent's voice is represented at the regional level and the state level. So not just reacting to policy, but really helping to set the policy across the region. I have a few reports this evening. Everything sort of slows down in the summer, and then it feels like it picks up all back at once. So I will try and get through these very quickly, and then I'll turn it over to our Chief Administrative Officer, Pat Fitzpatrick, and then to Council President. So first, I want to do a very quick shout out to our Meals on Wheels volunteers. I had an opportunity last week to go on a ride along with Meals on Wheels Delivery, one of our volunteers. We have such an amazing group of volunteers that come into the senior center and pack the meals. Everybody gets to choose what they want, the number of meals, and then pack them in routes. And then we've got drivers that come and deliver those meals. So I had a chance to go out and meet with the volunteers, see the impact they're having in the community, and how grateful the seniors are that are receiving those meals are for not only the food that they're getting, but the interaction that they have with the volunteers and that conversation. So really, really proud of that group. During COVID, they continued on and made sure that we had meals delivered. We've got one of the largest programs here in Kent, and they deliver all the way out past the city limits on the east side, all the way over through the West Hill. So just want to say thank you to those volunteers that take of their time to make sure that there are seniors in our community that are not going without meals. A little less fun, but more on the serious side, a couple of regional committee updates. I serve on the Regional Policy Committee, RPC. We had 2 presentations last week, one on waste to energy versus waste removal by rail. So we've got our landfills. We all know they are filling up. What is the next option as we're looking out into the future? And so the county is analyzing waste to energy. So incineration plants, they all over the world, those kind of facilities exist, or putting it in a rail car and just shipping it someplace else. Feels a little bit like giving somebody else our problem. But looking at those 2 options for the future and what that looks like for waste removal here in King County. Biggest message is recycle. A huge amount of what goes into the landfill could be recycled, and I think that's really where we need to be focusing those energies. We also had a report out on the last year for the Best Start for Kids grants, where that funding is going in the county. There's some great data on the King County website on the dashboard about where those services are being provided and the funding that's going out through that levy. Had an update meeting on the 405-167 corridor. A lot of conversation about the fact that revenues are down, and so projects that have been on a time schedule to be started or completed are lagging behind. And so working through whether those projects get on hold, if we take the state take the tolling revenue and bond for it so that we can move those projects along faster. As you can imagine, so most of this meeting was focused on 405, and as you can imagine, the east side cities are not interested in those projects being delayed any longer. I feel like I'd heard a statistic about there's a whole generation of our kids that have never driven on I-5 through Tacoma where there's not been construction. I feel like in my lifetime I've never driven on 405 where there's not been construction. So more to come on what that looks like, but it all comes down to dollars and cents. Staying with the transportation theme, Transportation Policy Board, I chaired that committee. We had an update on the scope of work as development for our regional safety plan. So Council, you've heard from our transportation planners on the development of the city's transportation safety plan. At the same time, there's a regional plan being developed, really trying to determine what the scope of that is, because it's not going to be project-based, but what goes into that plan as far as best practices and how do we all as a region get on board with the same kind of terminology. There's a lot of, are we a project or target zero or safe streets for all or safe system approach? Really, all of those terms speak to the same thing. We want there to be safety in our transportation system. So working together as a region to get on the same page there. Last quick update, Vice Chair of SCIP, you had a presentation tonight on the funding that we have that's going towards those affordable housing projects. So we had guest speakers from King County Housing Authority talking about their housing program. We have quite a few King County Housing Authority owned buildings here in Kent. So got an update on the purchase of those buildings, the maintenance of those buildings, and we'll be taking a deeper dive next month into their funding sources. We also had presentations from all of the SCIP member cities on preservation strategies. So we know that in South County we have more naturally occurring affordable housing than probably any other region in the county, honestly, in a lot of places. The key is how do we preserve that housing and make sure that we're not, first, that it's safe and livable, but that it's not going away. We talked a lot about last legislative session, House Bill 1110, and what does that look like now that someone can tear down an existing home and put in, say, 4 to 6 townhomes. It's great for adding numbers of housing units, but not so great when it comes to the fact that more than likely it's going to be those more affordable units that we're losing. So talked about what cities around us are doing as far as strategies on preservation, and we'll continue to work together. It's one of SCIP's top priorities is to sort of build that preservation toolkit that we can all apply here in South County. So that's a lot. I'm going to take a breath now, and I'm going to look to my right and turn it over to Pat Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council members. Just one quick update here. We are going live with our climate resiliency webpage, hopefully by the end of the week. I tell you, it's been a really heavy lift. We've had, we don't have a person assigned to this, but we assigned it to somebody who has been working on it for the past many, many months. And we hope to have that live by the end of the week. So keep an eye out for that. The rest of my report is in the council packet, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Pat. And on a note, so council, we had a presentation probably a year plus ago about all the work that's being done when it comes to climate here in the city of Kent. I think one of the misconceptions is that maybe we're not doing anything because we didn't have sort of that central repository for all of the things we're doing. This webpage will absolutely debunk that. There is things going on when it comes to climate resiliency in literally every department in the city, and it's part of what and who we are. Example is the solar panels on the senior center that you heard the presentation on tonight. So a lot of great things happening, and really grateful for the work that's gone into putting it all together in one location. Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate it. We had our operation meeting earlier today, and I think each one of the councilmen report out on their chair about what happened in their committee. For our workshop, we had two items. One was a comprehension plan update, and then the sewer master plan update. I would say the comp plan, it's in phase one. Lots of pre-work is going on. Continue to do lots of engagement, collecting data. They're out there doing social media, website, community meetings, community events. From that, they got over 650 new emails that they can add to their existing email list to send out. The social media have over 50K different hits out there. So they're really doing a good job. Really, we was talking about this is when we talk about the comp plan is really kind of where we see this in the next 20 years. Councilman McCoy reminded us it should be 50, but the rest of us decided not to give our age out. But at the end of the day, we are really trying to set the vision on where this city is going to be. So it's important that we gather everybody input, from students, older generation, and so on. So definitely going to set the stage where we're going to be for the next 50 years. And also talk about the sewer master plan. That goes along with the comp plan. You can't do one without the other, right? So we talk about building out the city. There's the sewer and all that stuff need to be part of the process as well, too. So two great presentations that we have. And like I said, that was phase one, and we got plenty more that will be coming to us before we kind of wrap this up. So good job from Kristen and the team. With that said, now I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Michaud, and she can share with us what she's been doing.
Thank you, Council President. I serve as the subject matter chair for Parks and Human Services, and as the Council President said, we had our committee of the whole earlier today. I had 3 items: the SCIP interlocal agreement with Covington, Maple Valley, and Renton, where we pool all our funds together. And then we also got a brief update that they just finished up a grant cycle, so they are going to be looking at 6 projects that applied, and 2 of them are actually from Kent. And then we also discussed the solar panel project at the senior center. We got a grant for phase 2 for battery storage for those solar panels. And then the last item was a grant. The city is giving a grant to Mother Africa and $200,000 for things like workforce development. All right, I also serve on the Washington State Community Forestry Council, and we had a meeting last week. A lot of it was about the Urban and Community Forestry Program strategic plan that the Department of Natural Resources is creating right now. And then we also got an update on this massive amount of federal funding for forestry projects. The update was that there is no update yet. I'm still waiting to hear back from the federal government on that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Michaud. Councilman Core, please.
Thank you, Council President. I serve as the chair for Puget Sound Clean Air Agency Advisory Council. We had our in-person meeting last week in Seattle. We also, as part of the meeting, we also did some tours of monitoring sites. We went to the Duwamish Air Monitoring Site, and it was a lot of fun, actually, to see all the devices that they use to monitor the, track air quality and CO2 and all particles, including P2.5 and P10. And it was kind of like just looking at all those devices, and you would think like it's all, just all in your computer devices these days. But those devices actually had like a ribbon that rotates and mixed dots per every cycle was like 42 minutes. So it's making dots every 8 minutes for 42 minutes. And it kind of, they look at it, they pull it out and look at it, and then track the data of like how bad the air quality is, how dark the dot is, or how light the dot is. So it was kind of cool looking at all those different devices, and they are getting some updated devices sometime this year, and so they'll be replacing some of the old ones. We also went on a tour to a gas station in Georgetown, in the middle of Georgetown in traffic, and it was we got presentation on how they track, how gas stations are using, tracking their, basically the quality of gasoline. And so they pointed to all the different, little holes where the gas goes in, and, the things on the side of, I don't even know their names, I don't remember them, on the side of the gas station, how, particles are evaporating out of there into the air, and it was kind of cool. Like, I've never looked at a gas station that way before, so so it was different. And then we looked at the different requirements for gas stations, and different states have different requirements. So there's like stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, and we only have requirements for stage 2, and the stage 3 is not for Washington State and is for other states, which is basically the type of nozzle that goes into a car. And then after that, we had presentation on our strategic plan and equity update that we've been working on for the whole year, and it'll be adopted by the end of the year. So I'll have more updates on that. But overall, it was a good meeting in person. A majority of the council members actually attended the meeting. Puget Sound is the regional council, so we had members from all the way to Everett down to south of Tacoma. So all those people drove in. Thankfully, I did not have that bad of a commute. I also serve on Domestic Violence Initiative Regional Task Force. We had our meeting on Zoom last week as well, and we had updates on protection order advocacy program. There was also a presentation from Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. They talked about all the work that they do and the new grant, it's WAWA Stop grant information. And we talked about how in our work groups in the meeting, we talked about how that grant can be utilized. So we're looking at building capacity for different nonprofits and different organizations who are doing work to protect victims, to support them. So that was part of the conversation we had, and I was highly advocating for some nonprofits here in down south who don't have the capacity to support victims, and building on that. We also had a brief conversation about possibly having, in our caucus, we had a conversation possibly talking to King County with all the hotels that they keep buying and they're not utilizing, maybe supporting and working with organizations to help victims and families to get temporary housing during that time. So that was just a brief conversation we had. It's there, it's an idea, and I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but it's part of the conversation we were having. So, and I'm also serve on Growth Management Planning Council, and we will be meeting next Wednesday on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. Lots going on. I appreciate you sharing that. Councilmember Lummer.
Thank you, Council President. So I serve on the King County Aging and Disabilities Advisory Council, and we met on September 8th. We had a presentation from the Washington State Long-Term Care I knew I was going to butcher it, Ombudsman Program. Learned a lot. It was really interesting and information I want to share with the community. So this organization is actually completely independent of any facilities, but their mission is to provide and advocate for the residents of long-term care facilities in our state. And that includes nursing home facilities, adult family homes, any type of enhanced service facility, and veterans homes. And they are very adamant. They describe themselves as fiercely committed to the residents. They are funded, they're independently funded through state and federal grants. So they advocate for the resident themselves. They are not mediators or negotiators. They always take the side of the resident. So, and they're there to protect the health, safety, welfare, and rights of all residents in long-term care facilities across our state. So really powerful program. Some of the things that they deal with is quality of life issues, quality food issues, issues with, care of, and medication distribution, staff attitude, and actually one of the largest complaints they get is about inadequate discharge planning. So they will help with that. Also roommate conflict. I thought that was an interesting one too. They get quite a few, they're asked to come in with on roommate conflicts and roommate moves at times. So if anybody has need for these services and advocacy in a long-term care facility, they can contact this program at waombudsman.org or call 1-800-562-6028. And then the second part of our meeting was we were discussing our 4-year area aging plan which will run from 2024 to 2027. Public hearings just wrapped up for that, so I expect in our next meeting we'll be talking about the final draft. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Larmer. Councilmember Thomas, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I serve as the chair of the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority, and I have no real report except that we still continue to look for a location for a new fire station. I can't tell you too much about it except that mostly it'll be on the west side of the tracks here. So that's about it on that. We do meet tomorrow night at 5:30, Station 78 out in Covington. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. And last but not least, Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Council President. Public Works Committee, we had a report on road projects, plural, that are going to take place on East Valley Highway. So you'll be seeing some differences. We will start the projects this fall, but they may not end until next summer because there's going to be issues with weather if this is typical Washington year. So some of the work cannot be done in the rain. We also had heard about a project with Mill Creek Park and sediment, or Mill Creek in Earthworks Park and sediment. So removing that sediment and having some culverts, cleaning those culverts out, removing that sediment so that water is not trapped in, leading to flooding. And then the third thing that we talked about was adding alum up to Lake Fenwick to help with the algae problems that we have up there. So that was Public Works. I serve on KCD, King Conservation District. And just remember, with King Conservation District, they do a wide range of things. I want to remind you with some of the classes, and many of these are free that you can avail yourself to. Some are in person, some are virtual. Check the website kingcd.org to find out which is which. But coming up here in the next couple of months, we have understanding soil health, streamside restoration, wildfire preparedness, winter pasture management. You can see they cover a variety of different corners. And October 14th is Orca Recovery Day. You don't have to get into the water. You're going to be doing some planting that is going to help with water temps and all. I have Team Up to Clean Up. I want to mention that one more time. That's part of Public Works. But the 30th, go to the website, kentwa.gov/talkingtrash to sign up for that. We had Mental Illness and Drug Dependency Advisory Committee. That committee will meet Thursday, the 28th. But I want to take this opportunity to remind people about the 988 number. We have over 47,000 suicides. I want to thank Councilmember Michaud and the Kent Police Department for doing the gun buyback. Over half of those suicides were committed with guns. So guns not only are a problem as far as violent acts against other individuals, but most suicides, the vast majority of suicides, like 55%, take place with a gun of some sort, and the next closest number is down like 26% for the next largest cause. And Arts Commission, we have 2 new and 1 returning commissioner, and we still have an opening for an alternate commissioner. So if you're interested, go to the website, submit your application, and I think I covered all of my committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fenter. Madam Mayor, that ends our report.
All right, thank you. Okay, we will move on. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing. Tonight we will have the first public hearing on the 2024 mid-biennium budget adjustment. So the way this will work is we will receive a presentation from Paula Painter, our finance director, and then I'll invite the public to provide testimony, written statements, and other evidence. Public input must relate to the subject of the public hearing. Council members, you are able to ask questions during the hearing. If you're here to testify on this matter or present written statement or evidence, please sign up at the front table with our city clerk, Kim Komodo. At this time, we will go ahead and open the public hearing on the 2024 mid-biennium budget adjustment, and I'd like to ask Paula to provide the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Ralph, Council President Boyce, and members of City Council. I'm happy to be here tonight to go through the first of 2 public hearings we're going to have on the 2024 mid-biennium budget adjustment. Mayor Ralph will actually be presenting her proposed budget next week on Tuesday, the 26th. So just to give you a little bit of information about the budget, this was initially adopted in November of 2022 as part of the 23-24 biennial budget process. The total budget for 2024 was $424.7 million, of which $119.3 million was in the general fund. As we went into the process of creating or going through the mid-biennial budget process, one of the things that we really wanted to think about was the fact that doing a biennial budget adjustment is really an opportunity to refine the numbers that are in our budget. It's not a time to bring forth new initiatives. What you should be seeing here is aligning what is currently happening today that we know about before we get into 2024. For departments that did have requests going into 2024, they were asked to bring forth a funding source or a reduction of expenditure to be able to cover those costs, because again, we're really trying to keep with that status quo budget. We did do a review of all of the revenues throughout the budget, found that there were numerous increases in revenues. I'm sure that you can recall from the monthly reports that Michelle is giving that our tax revenue continues to come in stronger. So you'll see some adjustments in that budget that's going to reflect a little bit more closely to reality than what it is. 2 years ago, we didn't really know what was going to look like in 2024. The other thing we know is that there were adjustments to the expenditure budgets. So when the budget was initially created, we had to make some assumptions. The AFSCME and Teamsters contracts were under negotiation, so when we budgeted it, we kept it at what was in that contract, the maximum for COLAs. Those were adjusted now. CPI came in at 4.5%, so that's the foundation for which we're looking at some of this. The police, the KPOA union, was already budgeted at 4.5%, so there's no change there. There was a change in also our health plan. We have the self-insured health plan. We had anticipated a 5% increase in those premiums on the employer side. We do not need to do that based on the review from the actuary, so that will be reduced from the budget. Also, our retirement contribution rates, the portion that the city pays for the PERS plan, that will be going down, but for our LEF, it's going up slightly. It's virtually the same. You guys have been hearing this a lot. Our insurance funds continue to need money, so you're going to see increases in how much allocation is going to our workers' comp, liability insurance, and property insurance funds. You can see initially we had anticipated 10 to 30% increases, and in reality it's more between 40 and 70% increases. So those will be coming through this process. Right now, we're in the midst of finalizing that document and finalizing that budget. It will be presented next week at 5 p.m. at a special council meeting. And that budget is balanced. It's balanced using some of fund balance, because we did have some excess fund balance there. But you will be seeing it next week. Do you have any questions?
So any questions for Paula? Right. Kim, do we have anyone signed up to comment on this public hearing?
We do not.
Okay. If we do not have anyone signed up, no documents presented either, I'm assuming?
I didn't receive any public comments.
All right, thank you. So a motion would be in order to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The public hearing is now closed. Thank you, Paula. As Paula mentioned, we will be having a special council meeting immediately followed by a council workshop next Tuesday for the presentation of the mid-biennium budget. Really good sort of sneak peek there, maintaining that status quo that council agreed to last year. So thank you again for that. I think it is that process has served us very well in this last year and kept things stable, and we're going to be okay going into 24. So more to come next Tuesday. All right, with that, we will move on. Next item is public comment. Kim, do we have anyone signed up?
We do not.
All right, item number 8 is the consent calendar, compilation of items that the council has discussed at the committee of the whole meetings, had an opportunity to hear presentations, have conversation, ask questions. These things have passed out of committee of the whole without controversy. Is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar items A through U?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The next 3 items will go very quickly. We do not have any other business. We do not have any bids, and we do not have an executive session this evening. That brings us down to item number 12 on the agenda, which is adjournment. Thank you all very much for all of your work.
Oh, wait a minute. There was on the other business. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I would like to announce tonight that my son Lee, who's an attorney here in Kent, is on the Oprah show tomorrow, national television show, and he's in regard to Weight Watchers, that he's been kind of connected with Oprah, and it's pretty exciting. They flew him back to New York, and he had a personal interview with Oprah, and it was a great adventure, and he's I'm very proud of my son for all the things that he's done already. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I'm excited about it.
I think that's very exciting. Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. Everybody tune into Oprah.
I think it's at 4.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Nice.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So with that, we are at the bottom of the agenda, and we are adjourned. Have a good rest of your week.